Ivanka Trump isn't exactly a trained diplomat, and the unrelenting glare of the camera has captured her making some awkward, tone-deaf, and otherwise questionable decisions over the years. For her father's second inauguration on January 20th, 2025, Ivanka Trump arrived in a forest green skirt and jacket by Dior, with a matching hat and a black Lady Dior handbag with black gloves and a black belt. While the look itself was nice enough, it sparked some discomforting comparisons to the outfits worn by the wives on Hulu's The Handmaid's Tale. In the early seasons, the character Serena Joy pretty much always wears tonal outfits in forest green, much like Ivanka's ensemble. So why did Ivanka dress in forest green? It's not like it's a color that she often gravitates towards. It's even stranger when you consider all the female activists who have worn the red capes and white bonnets that the handmaids wear on the show in protest of Trump's policies. There's no way that Ivanka could have missed this. So the fact that she chose to wear a close remake of the wives' outfits came off as both odd and eerie.
Are you deaf?
In June 2025, protests broke out in Los Angeles in response to President Trump's immigration policies. Tensions ran high after immigration and customs enforcement agents raided several spots in the city and arrested individuals who were allegedly illegal immigrants. While the protests were overwhelmingly peaceful, a few led to riots, with fires and objects thrown into the blazes. In response, Trump sent in the National Guard as well as the Marines to quell the protests. Meanwhile, Ivanka took to Instagram with a series of photos that made her appear blissfully unaware of what was going on in California. In honor of World Ocean Day, she wrote, "There's no place I feel more free, more grounded, and more at peace than in the ocean." In one sense, the post came off as inauthentic, since it seemed like more of an opportunity for Ivanka to just show herself off in bathing suits, rather than advocate for the environment. Plus, in the wake of the protests, it was just terrible timing. As one person responded in the comments, "Your mother was an immigrant, and so is your stepmother. None of you would be here otherwise." In November 2022, Tiffany Trump got married to Michael Boulos in Mar-a-Lago, and the sister of the bride opted for a rather risque outfit. At the rehearsal dinner, Ivanka arrived in a pink two-piece skirt suit with rhinestone hems and a rhinestone collar. The crop top revealed her abs, while the back was held together by two black straps. While the outfit was very flattering on Ivanka, some observers felt that it was inappropriate for a wedding. A few people theorized on social media that she was trying to upstage her sister, while others just thought it was tacky. This pink getup with lingerie-like backstraps was certainly distracting, and that's just bad wedding etiquette. Everyone knows that it's not polite to steal the show from the bride. While Ivanka and her husband Jared Kushner have stepped away from politics during her father's second term, that doesn't mean that they've stopped sparking outrage. On June 27, 2025, they were in Venice, Italy to attend the wedding of Amazon founder Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez. The wedding itself spurred all sorts of backlash, with protesters claiming that this was just one more example of the wealth inequality embodied by Bezos. Many of the guests were implicated in this backlash, including Ivanka and Jared. The Daily Beast calculated the net worth of those attending the wedding, with the total coming in at $500 billion. Furthermore, Ivanka and Jared have long been criticized for their money-making schemes. While they were working in the White House during her father's first administration, they reportedly made between $172 million and $640 million. While they didn't take salaries, their exorbitant income still struck many as questionable. Some observers wondered if they used their time in the White House to ensure their own financial security by prioritizing international relationships over the interest of the American people. So their attendance at Bezos' wedding struck many as a continuation of their elitist tendencies.
Sometimes when you're the daughter of the president and an unofficial foreign advisor, it's hard to know exactly where you fall in the photo op pecking order. This was especially apparent at the 2019 G20 summit in Japan, when Ivanka Trump, Donald Trump, and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo lined up for a photo with South Korean President Moon Jae-in. As seen in this video in CNN, Ivanka opted to stand right next to Moon's wife, which would presumably have been the place of the American First Lady. Since Melania Trump wasn't at the summit, Ivanka appeared to assume she would be standing in the First Lady's spot. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Pompeo was left awkwardly shuffling behind the lineup, relegated to the second row while Ivanka took the limelight. Eventually feeling Pompeo's nudge at her back, Ivanka realized she was in the wrong spot, and she somewhat reluctantly moved aside so the Secretary of State could take his rightful spot. The rest of the photo op went off smoothly, but it certainly served as a reminder that Ivanka doesn't always remember where she falls in line, somewhat literally. Have you ever been at a party talking with 3 or 4 of your best friends when some person nobody invited stands around you desperately trying to butt in? Yeah, now imagine your crew consists of the Prime Ministers of the UK and Canada, the President of France, and the Director of the International Monetary Fund, and that party crasher is a fashion model turned unofficial diplomat. To say that collection of leaders looked massively confused as to why Ivanka Trump was at the 2019 G20 summit would be an understatement. It was so painful that the French presidential palace even released a video of it, presumably to give the public a taste of the kind of awkwardness the assembled world leaders were dealing with. Donald Trump's detractors didn't waste a minute pouncing on the incident either, with tweets like one quipping that this was, quote, the very reason there's a table for adults and one for children. IMF Managing Director Christine Lagarde's side-eye got plenty of love online as well. It didn't take long for Ivanka Trump to realize interview questions in the political world hit a little harder than they do when you're simply the daughter of a reality TV star. We can only speculate that when Ivanka agreed to an interview with Cosmopolitan magazine in September 2016, she wasn't exactly expecting Diane Sawyer, but Cosmo's Prachi Gupta brought the heat, grilling the then 34-year-old on why Donald Trump's paid maternity leave plan did not include help for male same-sex couples. Gupta also asked about Donald's 2004 assertion that pregnancy is, quote, inconvenient for a business.
It's certainly an inconvenience for a business.
Ivanka responded, I think that you have a lot of negativity in these questions, and I think my father has put forth a very comprehensive and really revolutionary plan to deal with a lot of issues. So I don't know how useful it is to spend too much time with you on this if you're going to make a comment like that. Ivanka then cut the interview short after a series of flustered answers saying, I'm going to jump off. I have to run. I apologize. A couple days later, she tweeted, Cosmopolitan, your readers do and should care about issues impacting women and children. Keep the focus where it belongs, advocating change. After years as a fashion model and arbiter of style, it only stands to reason that Ivanka Trump's next move would be canned beans spokesperson? This would have seemed to be the case in July 2020 when Ivanka tweeted out a picture of herself holding up a can of Goya black beans with the caption, if it's Goya, it has to be good. And though she did it to support Goya in the wake of a political controversy related to Goya's CEO supporting her father, she looked about as natural holding the can as an elephant holding a pastry brush. Late-night talk show hosts piled on naturally.
I'm not sure if Ivanka's trying to promote Goya or she's auditioning to be a model on The Price is Right.
Seth Meyers was slightly less diplomatic.
Look at that. That's the closest she's ever gotten to working. You just know she's sore today. Oh, my bicep.
The tense relationship between First Lady Melania Trump and her stepdaughter Ivanka Trump is no secret, but it came to a head just 2 days before the 2020 Republican National Convention, when Stephanie Winston Wolkoff's Melania and Me, The Rise and Fall of My Friendship with the First Lady hit the shelves. Wolkoff, who claims to have been close to the First Lady, alleged that Melania had actively tried to prevent Ivanka from appearing in pictures at the 2017 inauguration. Wolkoff wrote, yes, Operation Block Ivanka was petty, but in our minds, Ivanka shouldn't have made herself the center of attention in her father's inauguration. In case there was any doubt, her disdain appeared readily apparent soon after at the RNC, when the First Lady appeared to roll her eyes after the president invited Ivanka up on stage. Again, Twitter had a lot to say. One tweet said, Melania Trump gives Ivanka Trump that look that, I like you only because I have to. The hip touch scene round the world still stands as one of the oddest greetings ever seen at a political convention, when Donald Trump greeted his daughter Ivanka Trump after she introduced him at the 2016 Republican National Convention by putting his hands, well, where plenty of critics thought they did not belong. Twitter reacted as you might expect. One tweet read, what is wrong with this man? Another asked, okay, so did anyone see Trump checking out Ivanka? Body language expert Patty Wood told Us Weekly he patted her in a sexually dismissive way. I want to be clear, that is not even a pat you would give to a child under the age of 5. You would pat them higher up on the back. The oddly inappropriate train just kept chugging along with Donald Trump and Ivanka Trump, making a stop at a North Dakota rally where the president was giving a speech on tax reform. Though he didn't delve into why exactly Ivanka needed to be present, Donald did give the crowd a bit of a clue.
Come on up, honey. She's so good. She wanted to make the trip. She said, Dad, can I go with you? She actually said, Daddy, can I go with you? I like that, right?
Ivanka was 35 at the time, we might add, and mostly ignored the comment. Instead, she gave some brief comments to the energy workers assembled at the rally. Predictably, Twitter had a lot to say about it, with one user tweeting, "So the moral of the story is that Ivanka doesn't have anything to do, so she wants to ride on the big airplane with her daddy." Ivanka Trump was interviewed by Fox News in February 2019 on her thoughts regarding the Democrats' Green New Deal and what it means for Americans.
I don't think most Americans in their heart want to be given something.
The heiress to the Trump empire continued without a hint of irony. People want to work for what they get. I think that this idea of a guaranteed minimum is not something most people want. They want the ability to be able to secure a job. They want the ability to live in a country where there's the potential for upward mobility. Never one to let stunning irony go unnoticed, Green New Deal co-author Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeted, "As a person who actually worked for tips and hourly wages in my life, instead of having to learn about it secondhand, I can tell you that most people want to be paid enough to live." Always one to have his daughter's back, Donald Trump told a gathering of American governors a few days later that his daughter was responsible for the creation of millions of jobs, as reported by CBS News. He did not elaborate on what exactly those jobs were or how she secured them. There is nothing quite like the pain of posting a big, gushing video about someone and getting crickets. Just ask Ivanka Trump, who was apparently very excited for her supermodel sister-in-law Karlie Kloss's debut as host of Season 17 of Project Runway. The night of the premiere in 2019, Ivanka tweeted a giddy video.
Gosh, Karlie, it's happening! We're going to be scoring green signs as they come down the runway. Amazing.
Kloss, however, left her hanging. No like, no mention. It wasn't the first time Kloss had dissed the wife of husband Josh Kushner's brother. When Kloss announced her engagement on Instagram, Ivanka commented, saying she was looking forward to creating happy memories as a family. Though Ivanka Trump has proven herself to be an adept public speaker, she didn't exactly leave him in stitches at the 2019 Gridiron Club dinner. For the unfamiliar, the dinner is basically a big bipartisan banquet with reporters and politicians taking lighthearted jabs at each other. Think White House Correspondents Association dinner, but less biting and without the TV coverage. Presidents have attended all the way back to William McKinley, but in 2019, Donald Trump asked daughter Ivanka to fill in for him. Ivanka opened her remarks by saying she'd just been asked to speak that afternoon, in fact, so she didn't have much time to prepare. Ivanka reportedly quipped, "I figured the funniest thing I could do was read excerpts from the Green New Deal." Alluding to AOC's previous Twitter comments slamming her, she continued saying, "The press seems to think it's ironic that I, born of great privilege, think people want to work for what they were given, as if being Donald Trump's daughter isn't the hardest job in the world." Though we were not in attendance, we can imagine just a single laugh, a cough, and clinking water glasses could be heard in the background. We've all had that unfortunate moment when you think you've got your look absolutely nailed. You walk outside, and a big gust of wind instantly undoes an entire morning of styling. But hey, at least you weren't standing next to the Vice President of Colombia in front of hundreds of international photographers. Such was the fate of Ivanka Trump when she set out on an official visit to Colombia to promote the Trump administration's Women's Global Development and Prosperity Initiative. While the trip was successful and Ivanka got to meet the group's first participants, as noted by Newsweek, her work was collectively pushed to the back burner when the military green dress she wore got caught in a blast of wind during a photo op. The bell sleeves popped all the way back to her shoulders, prompting the Daily Beast Molly Jong-Fast to dub it on Twitter the dress that launched 1,000 gardening jokes. That was one of the nicer ones. Jong-Fast also joked that Ivanka was reforesting the Amazon one couture dress at a time. Writer Steve Silberman quipped, "Ivanka Trump snared by Venus flytrap in unfortunate botanical incident." Donald Trump's frequent comments about daughter Ivanka Trump's appearance have been fodder for media commentary since long before he entered the political sphere. Way back in 2006, Donald was on a different kind of campaign trail, hitting the talk show circuit to promote the first season of The Apprentice. He and Ivanka appeared on The View, and host Star Jones cut right into the awkwardness by asking what Donald would do if Ivanka were asked to pose for Playboy.
I don't think Ivanka would do that inside the magazine, although she does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Ivanka flashed a nervous smile while the hosts and audience laughed. Host Joy Behar compared Donald Trump to Woody Allen. Ivanka just kept on smiling. Trump's PR team later issued a statement saying he was joking and simply making a self-deprecating comment about his tendency to date younger women.
Following her time in the White House, Ivanka Trump seemed to follow her bliss by spending lots of time with husband Jared Kushner and their children doing non-political things. Her Instagram account, on the rare occasions that she updated it, was dotted with photos of herself and her family traveling, having fun, and relaxing. Oddly enough, one of these posts went viral, and not because people were so interested in her pursuit of leisure. On September 18, 2022, Ivanka posted a video on Instagram of herself wake surfing behind a boat in Miami, Florida. People had the strangest reaction to it, claiming that Ivanka faked the video and was wake surfing in front of a green screen. One person commented, "fake," while another person commented, "photoshopped." Someone else wrote, "sorry, it looks green screened." Ivanka was unfazed by these comments, though, because a year later, on September 5, 2023, she posted new content of herself wake surfing again. People seemed to have the same reaction yet again. One person wrote in the comments, "love her, but the photo and video looks fake. Her feet did not get wet at all." Well, despite the criticism, Ivanka clearly won't stop wake surfing or posting content about it. In one of the more intensely awkward moments from Ivanka Trump, the former White House senior advisor spoke out against former President Donald Trump to the House committee. Ivanka offered testimony about the events that took place on January 6, 2021, as well as her take on President Trump's claims that there was election fraud. The Trump family has famously offered a united front, portraying themselves as the connected family standing up to a media barrage against their bombastic patriarch. However, when Ivanka testified, this facade fell apart. While speaking to the committee, Ivanka agreed with Attorney General Bill Barr that there was no evidence of election fraud. She also notified the committee that President Trump had indeed watched the violence that occurred on January 6th and was well aware of what was happening at the Capitol. While this level of betrayal must have certainly been intense between the father and daughter, it's clear that Ivanka was committed to making a comeback, along with husband Jared Kushner, after their stint in the White House. And no matter how awkward the testimony was, Ivanka has been clear about separating herself from her father's future political ambitions.
Because you'll never take back our country with weakness.
The 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar was a very controversial event, boycotted by many celebrities and A-listers because the sovereign state has controversial policies around migrants, women's rights, and those of the LGBTQ+ community. So many in positions of influence spoke out against the country, claiming that it wasn't right to attend the event simply because of the location. However, Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, and their 3 children, Arabella, Joseph, and Theodore, attended the World Cup in Qatar. In fact, there were several photographs taken of Ivanka and Jared watching the matches from a private box and talking with Qatar's Prime Minister, Khalid bin Khalifa bin Abdulaziz Al Thani. They also spent time with Qatari billionaire Nasser Al Khalifi, who's also the president of French soccer club Paris Saint-Germain. Ivanka wore an all-white midi dress to the event with long sleeves and a high neckline. Her children and husband were dressed casually. The controversial trip to Qatar came on the heels of an extended family trip to the Middle East. Shortly before the World Cup, Ivanka posted on social media that they had visited the Egyptian pyramids, potentially to illustrate that they were in that part of the world anyway.